I'm so glad you bought a new microphone so I could hear that in glorious HD. All of the rattling around in your sinuses. Oh,
I want to feel the HD Rumble version where I can feel everything rattling around the sinuses.
hello and welcome to episode 23 of the MisanthroPod. I am Snipe, and as always I am joined by Wib. Say hello.
Hello.
And I am joined by Drummer Matt. Say hello.
Salut.
Oh, see, I was thinking, like, should I go bonjour? And I didn't realise that apparently the French have more than one word for hello, because they want all of the greetings.
It's almost as if it's a fully fledged language.
I don't know, I don't speak it, so I am unable to view it as such.
Yeah, it has a backstory and everything.
What? No.
There is deep French language lore that you have to understand.
Okay, but is that like DLC? Because I don't think it's critical to like the main story.
French is the Dark Souls of language.
Everything is silent except when it's not. You died.
Actually, it kind of works better than I thought. That was originally just a throwaway comment.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to the MisanthroPod, where we ridicule the French language for an hour and a half.
I mean, that has been the start of the podcast for the last 3 or 4 podcasts.
I know, but because it's like super exciting, and we're actually like low key massively jealous of you. But Drummer Matt, how have you been? You sound like you've been a bit off, dude.
Yeah, I've been ill for the last week. It's nothing serious. It's just like a cold, possibly almost pseudo flu, like slightly more than a cold, but not actually real dangerous stuff, I think. But it's just meant I've not been able to breathe properly or talk or swallow or anything for the last week or so, which has been pretty annoying.
So I'm sure that recording like an hour-long podcast is going to be great.
Oh yeah, that's going to be fine. Occasionally you'll just hear me rattle and then fall onto the floor and die, but I mean, you just mute that bit and you'll be fine. So
yeah, we just edit around that type of shit. So
fine. I mean, we've got Ruth on standby with the paddles. So every time that you die, we will drag you back to the world of the living.
Yeah. So you can finish the podcast.
Yeah, and then you can just leave me to
it. Yeah, you die on your own time, man.
Not when we're fucking working, bro. Come on.
So yeah, I mean, as I've been ill for the last week, I've once again done basically nothing. But now this week I have an excuse, so it's okay. And
in fairness, moving country was a pretty good excuse.
Yeah.
There's going to be all these new French like microbes that are attacking your immune system. So.
Yeah. And on that note as well, actually, as you guys know, I'm back in the UK next week. So then I can pick up my computer, and then when I bring it back here, I will have games to play and things to talk about.
I'm looking forward to playing some Overwatch with you, dude.
Oh, well, I'll have to buy it first, but I don't think that's really going to be much of a, doubt of happening, I think.
Well, they're adding a new character soon, but I'll get to that later.
Okay. But yes, I have not really much to talk about, apart from a couple of bits of news, I guess I saw, if you want to move into a news section.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Nintendo Switch. I think I mentioned it before, but the more bad publicity I hear about it, the more I kind of want to get one. It's infuriating.
See,
and I'm not going to until at least Christmas, because it will be cheaper and the games won't be. Like, more to the point, like, the console isn't too bad, but the games are like 60 or 70 quid each. I was like, that's just insane. So hopefully by like Christmas there'll be like a sensible game price.
I don't know, I kind of feel like that's probably going to be a static value for new games. However, of course, the release games at that point will probably be cheaper. So yeah,
exactly. But
see, I just know that you're a hoe for HD Rumble. You want to see how many pieces of ice are in that glass.
Yeah. And water too.
Water too. Can't forget the water. That was a fucking thing that I witnessed with my own goddamn eyes.
But yes, about the Nintendo Switch, man.
But I did see that there's a few more, because I think we mentioned before that there's going to be like 4 launch games for it or something, in the UK at least. One of them just being Just Dance as well, which doesn't really count.
Oh, no.
For like gamers, in inverted commas. But I did see that there's a few more like downloadable games, hopefully going to be done with launch as well. So there's all the...
You know what?
There's Binding of Isaac, apparently, is going to be on it.
Oh, that has like a physical release in America, I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but like the 3DS. or something.
Oh, it is already. No, it's on the Switch. It is on the Switch for release in America. Not here.
But you can download it here apparently. I heard, which is quite cool.
Okay.
I know that the Virtual Console, that's the word I was looking for.
Yep.
The Virtual Console stuff is not going live,
that's
like
not
straight
live
away.
Yeah, I saw that. And I don't know if Virtual Console, if you have like a Nintendo account on like a Wii or Wii U.
No.
I assume they're not going to be nice, and you own the virtual version of this game, therefore you own it on this console too.
No, Nintendo.
It's a games company.
Yeah.
Nintendo want you to buy Mario Brothers and Metroid like on every single console you own.
And Castlevania.
Yeah, that's not their game, man.
I know, but like we bought that, and
Konami.
it's like, well, that's kind of. I know it's Konami, but it's like, yeah, we bought that off the Virtual Console now, and hopefully the Wii won't die.
Yeah. I mean, you can transfer, I believe, to the Wii U on an SD card.
Oh, goody, let me just do that. Because, who the fuck do you know owns a Wii U? Exactly.
Yeah.
Fucking crawl to the end of the earth finding someone else the fucking Wii U.
But yeah, I know you could transfer some games to the Wii U from the original Wii, but I don't know if it's possible to transfer them from the Wii U to the Switch. I have no earthly idea.
I would think not, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's so weird how it's like it's out in like a few days. Like as a point of recording, it's out in like a few days.
Yeah, and like reviewers and people have got their one already.
Yeah, and it's just like the fuck. It's like that snuck up.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Switch doesn't feel like it's a real thing that's happening at all.
You mean unlike the Wii U?
Well, yeah.
I'm just gonna sit here and every now and again just go, "Hey guys, remember the Wii U and how bad it was and how bad the marketing was for it?" Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't know what it is about it, but maybe it's to do with the way the way it sort of was announced relatively close to its release. I'm just used to consoles being announced and revealed so much earlier. But it just doesn't feel like the Wii U is a real thing in the world yet that you can. That in a week you'll be able to buy.
It's
it just
kinda
doesn't
strange.
feel real at all. It's bizarre.
We get on that Ice Cube action.
Well, there was a few other games as well. There was I can't remember. You'll know, Matt. The developers of Little Inferno and their new one, Human Resource Machine.
The developer's called Human Resource Machine.
Oh, is it?
Human. Oh fuck. Oh no, it's Tomorrow Corporation. That's it.
Okay.
That's what they're called. They're called Tomorrow Corporation.
Well, they are aiming to get those two, and they're releasing World of Goo, or there's some connection to World of Goo as well?
There's the guy Kyle Gabler who does the art and composing of those games. He worked on World of Goo, which is why it sounds like them and looks like them.
Okay, well those three are in theory going to be there on launch day as well.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, I know it's not necessarily a reason to buy the console if you already have those games on PC, but I, for instance, don't own any of those on PC. So it makes I know I don't need to get a Switch to play them, but it makes it a bit more. I've got a bit more options on it if I did get one.
Yeah, well, I can say that World of Goo and Little Inferno are both very good.
Yeah, I saw really good things about Little Inferno, especially. I watched a playthrough of it, and yeah, it looks excellent.
Little Inferno is one of those games that may one day get a full-blown review, like on the channel. Because I got like halfway through writing a review of that.
Oh, cool.
And then what normally happens is I run out of steam when writing.
You need to burn some more things.
I need to burn things so that I can keep the steam up.
I was about to make a Steam kit. I was like, more to the point, you don't run out of Steam. You just find other things on Steam.
But why write a review of a game you like when you can play Captain Scarlet for the PS2?
That's a very, everyone was sitting there wondering, what do they think about Captain Scarlet for the PS2? And I'm glad we finally answered those questions.
There's just a tiny part of me that cannot sit down and write positivity, it would seem.
Yeah, this is quite a good game. Like, your brain just starts twitching and like, ah.
This game is mediocre at best. Oh, suddenly my hands are on fire with how fast I'm writing.
You have no idea how true that is. But yeah, no, that's cool. Those are coming out on it because they're the sort of games that I can imagine with the type of hardware and shit that is inside the Switch will probably translate fairly well.
Yeah.
How many ice cubes in the Binding of Isaac?
No, but there is ice cubes in Little Inferno.
Well, there we go.
So, yeah.
You put that HE Rumble to good use.
Nice.
Awesome. So yeah, that's the number one reason to buy a Switch, really.
Absolutely.
That and th're releasing like years old games.
Oh yeah, well, have you heard? Skyrim is on it. That new hot game that all the kids are playing.
Oh, you mean that game that's basically only really functional if you put about 8 trillion fucking mods on it?
That might be a thing.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I played... most of my playthrough of Skyrim was done with absolutely 0 mods on it. So...
Okay.
Because I'm an idiot like that.
Yeah.
I think it was actually before...
Come on, everyone knows Bethesda doesn't finish games, they leave it to the fan base to do it. Ooh, I pissed someone off. So you writing that comment right there. Stop.
Honestly, I think a lot of people do acknowledge that, even if they are fans of Bethesda's
Yeah, I mean,
work.
like, I haven't got anything particularly against Bethesda, I just think that a lot of their game design is, like, they need to try a lot harder.
Oh, yeah. I think they definitely
And
get...
I hate them, and I'll...
Sorry, you don't
Sorry,
have anything
about
against them.
reaction.
I have nothing against them, but they should all die.
Okay, I never said that. I said most of them might... No.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving swiftly on. What else we got? Oh, this will be fun. I want to get this off my chest because I was so fucking mad. I had such ambivalence, honestly. I was furious, but I was also super hyped. The day after we recorded our last podcast, Gen 2 of Pokemon Go was released.
Yeah.
I was so mad, but also so psyched I went out at 2 a.m. and caught like a fucking Spinnerack and like a bunch of other things.
And Swinubs.
Oh,
It was really
I genuinely
cool.
hadn't seen that. I've not played I did play a little bit when I first got here just to see what was around. And then I haven't been since, so I didn't see that.
Yeah, no, it was like, literally a day after the last time we recorded, so like 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, and it was like early hours of the morning, so we live in a small town, so, you know, in the middle of the night, you're not likely to see someone else wandering around. We go out and there's a good handful of people out. And we all know what we're doing. Like, all of us are like, yeah. But it was really fun. I popped a lucky egg and I went out and I caught all these new Pokemon that I had no idea what any of them were fucking called. I know that the day after, because I was like, I just wanted a Marill, which is like a circular blue mouse thing, and I just really liked them. And I literally got in from shopping, walking uphill all the way home with shopping on my back. And I look at my phone and it's like, there's a Marill around the corner. I'm like, fuck. So I just immediately leave the house again. And it was so nostalgic for when Pokemon Go was kind of first released.
Nostalgic for midway through last year.
I'm sorry, but it feels like forever ago.
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah. But no, they've added a bunch of stuff and it's just like, this is actually cool. It was nice. It was nice wandering around in the middle of the night with my phone out. Again. Actually, that sounds fucking insane now that I say it.
Pokemon Go has made a lot of people make some very unsafe life choices.
Yes.
I saw someone in the subreddit going, guys, just as a reminder, keep fucking good hold of your phone and don't be a moron.
Yeah.
Because he was walking down the road looking for Pokemon and some guy on a bike just rode past and just yoinked his phone. I was like, thanks to the phone, asshole, bye. And he was like, yeah, guys, maybe watch for that. Because
Yeah.
that happens. Like, well, shit, yeah. It's like, I've been living in a small town for too long. Paying for shopping, I dropped something, so I put my card on the counter and just dropped down and left it there. And I was like, fuck me. That is a really stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people probably in line were just looking at me going, look at this dumb fuck. We don't want to steal a card because, you know, it's a bit too easy, isn't it? Kind of fucking cranky that day after we did the podcast.
Was it the night, actually?
Well, it was technically the day after, because it was 1 a.m.
Oh, okay.
the next morning, so it's like, oh, fuck off. Fuck you.
Oh, there's also news on the Overwatch front.
Ooh.
Why are you going to steal my topics like that? Why are you going to do that? That's my fucking game. You steal my... Oh, fine. Okay, fine. Tell me all about FEO.
Hey, I wasn't stealing the topic. I was merely doing the introduction.
No, it's fine. No, I don't care.
Well, I don't know fucking anything about it.
Well, I do, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's not really. I think Blizzard are trying to do another ARG. You remember the 3 Sombra ARGs that were crap?
I assumed it was that it wasn't 3 ARGs, it was one big crap one.
I don't know. This thing, we could discuss this until the end of time and not figure out which version is right. But yeah, they've been teasing. They did a spotlight on Numbani's gifted youngster, Effie Uladel, who's like this kick-ass little girl who's like massive, like she's like a savant with robotics, and she gets like, I can't remember what it's called, but she's basically gotten a genius grant, like in canon, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm building something, teehee, it's a secret, and everyone's like, the fuck are you building, Effie? The fuck are you doing back there, kiddo? And yeah, they're kind of releasing, like, there was a thing that was released recently, which was like a checklist of hers, where she's like, oh, I need to get like a fusion core, and like basically making out that the new hero for Overwatch is a like a robot, is an Omnic. So it's like, ooh, this will be interesting.
And haven't they on the PTR? They have the room where attackers start in Numbani is like wrecked to shit.
Yeah, the starting area for attackers in Numbani is like it's like an airport lounge.
Yeah.
And there's just a fucking crater in the front of the wall, just before you go to the doors. Also, the payload on that, it had Doom, like the Doomfist gauntlet there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not there anymore. Which is like, ooh, I see.
I quite like that. There's a little change.
They've been really good for little things like that. I mean, that and also they've got the server browser that they're going to be doing, where you can have custom games with just crazy mutators.
Oh, that's cool.
Where, like, in the custom games now, you can change hero cooldown abilities and things like that, and health. So you can create your own kind of custom game types. Because you know how they've been doing that with brawls?
Yeah.
They went, fuck it, let's make the community do it for us. Which I'm kind of not angry at, really.
Yeah.
And it also means you get, like, experience for just playing crazy, weird maps. So you can have, like, a Saxton Hale mode. Like, remember TF2 had that for a while?
Yeah.
And things like that. And it's like, ooh, that's very interesting.
I somehow don't feel you'll be able to modify it quite as far as something like Saxton Hale mode.
Oh, no, not at all. But I'm just saying that is something that you can do.
Yeah.
I saw one where it was Tracer only, and her abilities had like no cooldown. It looked like fireworks were going off. It was like a long exposure thing. It was so weird. Just like
Just
all
seeing
these
her
little
zipping
lasers
around.
zipping around in the air. I was like, what the fuck am I looking at?
I did see some of that, and I think it was also, I think it was with Hanzo's, with zero cooldown on his arrow that's, I can't remember what it's called, his scatter arrow.
Oh, you mean the Hanzo Main's last and only resort, really?
Well, yes. Of just them firing those everywhere and it just being a nightmare.
Yeah. No, I think you can like do things like make ult charges like ridiculously fast and change HP values and block out certain abilities if you want. It's like, that sounds very interesting. And I haven't installed the PTR because I'm lazy.
That's a fair point.
I mean, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But yeah, so I'm interested to see how that goes. I mean, they are claiming, like, at the point of recording, that it might be today that it gets updated.
Okay.
So I'm like, ooh, yeah. Looking forward to what they do there.
Yeah,
And hopefully they've learned from the abysmal Sombra ARG.
Yeah, watch what's going to happen is they'll update, like today with something big, so it makes this entire discussion utterly redundant by the time this podcast goes out.
Yeah, this is a problem, like, recording it so early. I'm sorry I can't edit this quicker. I'm just bad at things.
It's less than a week before it goes up.
Still. It's pretty grim, isn't it?
It's either that or record it the day before and then just rush everything.
And just have nervous breakdowns left, right and centre.
Yes.
Which I'm not really a fan of having.
Yeah.
I know, I've taken quite a controversial stance.
A controversial stance of not wanting to
overload myself with horrifying stress, I
Yes.
guess. But yeah. Oh, what else we got though? Because I think that's about it for Overwatch for now.
Yeah. There is the little thing that came up about Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh.
Have you heard anything about the game?
I saw. What did I see? Yes, I read a news article about this like yesterday, and I've completely forgotten what it was about.
Was it perchance about how the previous games had a partial nudity warning?
Yes,
and
full
it's
nudity.
now It's now been upped to full-blown nudity.
Oh, now we get to see
Yeah.
the whole of a boob and a winky.
Maybe.
Yeah, and one of the like designers or something tweeted that it was like softcore space porn or something. Yeah, I did see that.
Which wasn't that a joke, but I'm still kind of sitting there going,
it's
kind of rolling my
playing
eyes.
to all the various media things that caused the original Mass Effects, alien sex simulators and things.
We'll bang, okay?
Yeah.
It's fine.
It makes a good headline for an article.
Oh, it does. Like, sex sells. People are going to go, softcore space pornography. Let's have a look at that, shall we? But it's like Andromeda, like, I'm interested in it, especially because apparently I'm in it.
What?
Yes, there is a...
Okay.
Yeah, apparently there is a character in it that has a similar haircut to yours, and a couple of people pointed it out to you.
Yeah, they were like, hey, Snipe, like, you look like Cora Harper, and I'm like, the fuck I do. And I'm seeing hey, it's a softcore space porn, and I'm like, okay, and then the preview image is, like, the man rider kissing Cora, and I'm like, why? This is weird, because there's going to be SFM, like, porn of her, and it's just going to make me feel really strange. Look at all these video game characters I'm apparently having sex with.
Well,
Tumblr's a weird place.
Think about my problem here.
Okay.
Is that when I inevitably get round to playing Mass Effect Andromeda, I am probably going to be playing I'll probably be playing a Femme Rider, because FemShep was I thought
FemShep was my favourite.
Yeah, I preferred FemShep. So I am left with the choice of do I get with the character who is ostensibly a little like my wife,
Okay.
and then possibly make her gay.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if
I don't know.
her
I don't know.
orientation, but
Because usually I'll never get with a human in Mass Effect, because why would I get with a human in Mass Effect when I can get with an alien?
there's blue boobies over
You
there.
want to go with something more interesting, but it looks like my wife, so I'm going to feel bad.
Oh my god! Am I completely preemptively guilting you into romancing Cora Harper because of my visual resemblance?
I am culturally guilted. Or societally guilted is probably a more accurate term.
Okay, yeah, but we both know you're going to go for the hot aliens because there's a female Turian in there, which are rad, and I really hope you can romance her. Because she's amazing.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, having me, someone who looks a lot like me in Mass Effect is going to be really strange, especially because, we have a couple of friends who are really fucking into Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Holy shit, they are into Mass Effect. That's going to make this really weird, because they're going to be like, hey, I romanced you. I'm like, okay.
In fairness, it is only a very passing resemblance.
Yeah, I know. It's still kind of like...
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
It's
and
still
she's
weird
white,
to me,
I
though,
guess.
because I don't look like anyone. I look like me, and seeing someone else resembling me is just like...
Yeah. I think the problem is that it's because other people have made the comment to you that it looks a little like
Yeah,
you.
so I think I'm feeling a bit conscious about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So it's like, even if you can't see it, because it seems to happen a lot with me. Every now and again, someone will show up to the channel and go, "Oh, by the way, you look like this guy."
Well, someone came out and was like, I can't remember, it was one of the Black Eyed Peas from the Twilight movie.
Yeah, one of those.
One of those wankers. I can't remember, and someone's like, hey, you look like this guy, and I'm like, I don't see it, apart from the fact that he's a white guy with, brown hair. That's pretty much, the only resemblances.
The most recent one was that I was told that I look like Bronn from Game of Thrones, and I'm okay with that.
Well, yeah, because he's super sexy older guy. Ooh.
He was a crooner in the 90s.
And he can really sing, and he's really good at acting, so, you know what, take it,
He
that's
used
amazing.
to be in, was it London's Burning, I think?
I don't know what that is.
It was an old show about firefighters.
Well, that makes sense.
And Robson and Jerome,
You're just saying
came from
names
that?
at me now.
who were a pop singers in the 90s, and the guy that plays Bronn is one of those.
Okay.
Or possibly another set of crooners. I forget. I tried to just cast out most of pop music in the 90s.
But yeah, Mass Effect, that's out on the 21st of March.
I believe so.
That's
I
come
think
around really
it's-
quickly. In my head, it was still a year away.
Yeah, me
Same.
too.
I think maybe we're just getting massively old.
I think
Yeah.
that may be a factor.
But But no, I mean, it's like, it looks interesting. I mean, I think the story setup's a bit daft, but I mean, look, do you want a Mass Effect game or not? So fucking whatever.
Yeah. And Marjorie Tyrell and Renly Baratheon are both voice acting in it together, which is... Yeah, I mean, aside from the fact that, people who tend to be good in TV shows end up quite often making awful voiceover actors, ignoring that part, it's, yay, Game of Thrones people.
It's because, Peter Dinklage did amazing
so
in
well.
Destiny.
Oh. See, this has been a massive, I get so angry about this, because I have a very knee-jerk kind of reaction, because it's when they choose Hollywood actors or screen actors over actual voice actors with voice acting experience, it drives me fucking nuts. It's okay, Peter Dinklage was fucking abysmal. He's a really good actor.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he cannot voice act. He has proved that. Or maybe they just didn't pay him enough, or he was into a contract.
Or maybe he was just maybe he was the person who was directing him was used to directing voice actors, but not used to directing actors who may need different.
This is the thing. We just don't know. Bottom line, the end result was piss poor.
Oh, yes.
So, it just drives me nuts, because the games industry treats voice actors with such active fucking contempt, and those people are fucking fantastic. The voice actors, especially in modern day gaming, can make or break a fucking game.
It probably doesn't help that the public perception, and it's not entirely unwarranted, is that there's only about 4 voice actors.
Yeah, because they're the only ones who continually get fucking hired. It's you do realise there are other very talented people who can do these roles. I'm nothing against Tara Strong and
Nolan
North, and what was the other fucking guy? I don't know.
His name has literally just fallen out of my head, and I am forced to think about him nearly every day.
He's everywhere, and I can't remember his fucking name.
It's the one who's not Nolan North.
Yeah, the other one. Fuck it, I can't remember. There are so many more fucking voice actors out there that are... This fucking... Oh my god, this nepotistic bullshit. Let's only hire 3 people.
Troy Baker,
that's
the
one.
other one.
Yeah.
Don't know why I couldn't think about that.
Yeah. It really does. It really, really cheeses my onions.
Oh, it does. Actually, on that note...
Speaking of onion cheesing...
There is an interesting thing, which I don't know if you've really followed anything of this, Matt.
Onion cheesing.
Onion cheesing, yes.
The cheese and onion? Well, we're talking about the process in which the onion gets cheesed.
Or the cheese gets onioned.
Okay, that's getting very advanced. I'm introducing him to the concept here.
Okay.
We're going to leave that. That's advanced onion cheesing.
What?
Okay, you know what? Yeah.
We'll just move on.
We'll just move on.
The lawsuit that was called between Jim Sterling and Digital Homicide has finally been thrown out of court.
If you know anything about that.
Ooh. Yeah, you spoke about this a while ago.
Yeah, so if people aren't aware, and I'm sure they will be by now because it's been all over the internet, but a developer by the name of Digital Homicide who made some shit games.
Asset flips, just pieces of shit. Standard green light garbage.
Yeah, and then kicked up a huge stink when Jim Sterling covered them on his YouTube channel and started a back and forth that eventually led to a lawsuit that they filed against him for $10 million. For damages to their reputation per, I think it was a weird variant of assault. And libel. And this has been going on for well over a year. And eventually towards the start of this year, after much back and forth legally, because the guys at Digital Homicide, well, the guy is James Ramin. His name is. Yeah. He's been representing himself. And he had to learn how to do a law, which was actually one of the things included in the lawsuit was to recompense him for having to learn how to file a lawsuit.
But by that logic, you could literally sue anyone on the grounds that they have to pay you for learning how to be a lawyer in order that you could sue them.
You used a big word I didn't understand. I'm suing you for the time I lost Googling it.
I'm suing you for the price of one dictionary. But so because it was in the actual lawsuit, because I have read through it.
There's a fantastic video. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but there's a YouTuber called Leonard French who's a lawyer, and he goes through that.
Yeah, he does good stuff on that.
Yeah, does some good stuff that end. I definitely recommend that guy's video on it. Very, very good.
Yeah, and it's not written professionally or with any degree of competency. So he kept having to put in amendments. And towards the start of this year, the judge basically threw him a bone by saying, look, this lawsuit is bullshit. You've either got to go and get a real lawyer and carry on the lawsuit as is, or if you want to do it yourself, then you have to change it from being the company to being you personally, because you cannot represent a company without a lawyer.
Okay.
He tried to do that, to change it to be just about him, and it was equally incomprehensible.
Find, replace.
Yeah, a lot of find, replace stuff. Alleging all manner of bollocks.
Also, completely dismissing a lot of his own accusations. Like, Jim Sterling did a 38-minute video on it, because now that's been dropped, he's allowed to talk about it and be very open about it. He stands there and he reads, like, over half of it, which is just printed evidence.
Yeah.
Which is not something you really put in a lawsuit.
Yeah, you don't need that yet.
You don't need that yet. But, no lawyer, no problem. So, and there's like sentences where he's like, massive loss of earnings because he's for argument's sake, he's directed people to go and attack my games, which probably didn't do it. But anyway, there's kind of weird contradictions in it. I can't remember any verbatim.
Well, it's less contradictions and more that he has to admit that that in his opinion, it's probable that these things could have happened.
It's a fucking mess.
Which, you can't sue someone on the basis of they probably did this.
I'm suing Drummer Matt because he probably made it so I had to study law for an hour.
Yeah.
What are you laughing about? I'm taking you to fucking court.
But
for like $15 million.
But it kind of came to a head where Sterling's lawyer apparently spoke to him for some time, and came to the seemingly came to the conclusion that this wasn't going to go anywhere, and the best thing to do was to move to have it dismissed, and it is dismissed with prejudice, which means that he can not just refile a similar lawsuit for the same thing. Like, he's actually banned from doing so.
I'd like to file a suit against Jim Sterling because my company Bligital Blomicide. To be fair, with that guy, could you even I could not put it past that guy.
No, because he's ultimately tanked his company by kicking up a fuss. 'Cause he's it's the same person that tried to get Valve to give him the names of however many...
It was over 100 Steam users.
Yeah, over 100 Steam users, so that he could sue them.
Yeah, because they were giving his games negative reviews. The games that were shit.
Yeah, and just to be clear, his games were lazy shit.
Oh, fucking dreadful, barely working asset flip garbage. Seriously. If you don't know, just a quick Google search will tell you more than enough.
And... So yeah, because of him trying to get those names and trying to strong arm Valve kicked him off the service. So
as is their right as a private fucking company.
So
I'm surprised he didn't try and sue Valve. I think did they?
Yeah.
Did they?
Valve won't let me sell my shit. I'm going to sue them because I had to look up how to sell my things on Battlefield. Now I'm not allowed to.
$15
million.
$15 million.
This is a very expensive Google search.
Oh god!
But yeah, so that's finally ended. So that's kind of positive for everyone, really.
I'm hoping that this is a massive fucking warning sign for any shitty indie dev who just buys asset packs from the Unity store and just clambers them together and puts them on Steam, which they won't be able to do much longer. But just put them anywhere where you can spend money. I hope this is a massive warning to them. Don't be pricks.
Yeah, well, ultimately, it's just about sometimes people will not like the thing that you have produced. It's going to happen. You have to kind of take it on the chin. That's just part of it. It's for example, it's it's not nice when people leave a shitty comment on one of our YouTube videos saying that they don't like it or whatever. It's that's not nice, but that's just part of making things.
It's okay, because I've emailed YouTube requesting the personal details of all the people who'd ever left a negative comment or just a strange comment on one of our videos, and we're going to sue them.
Oh, that's fair.
$15 million. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be the best lawsuit.
You're going to win bigly.
Going to win bigly.
Yeah, so is this related at all to why Steam are getting rid of Greenlight?
I would say it's a massive catalyst to it, because Greenlight has been such a massive problem from the beginning. It's been a really nice idea that pricks have come in and ruined.
I mean, Gabe, they've been working on getting rid of it for a while. I think Gabe said like years ago that it wasn't quite his words, but he basically said it was shit.
He did an AMA like not long ago where like people were like, "You happy with Steam?" And he's like, "No." He was like, wouldn't elaborate. He's like, "No, it's dumb. I hate it."
But yeah, Greenlight. I can't remember. It's going to be something where there's basically a higher bar of entry, in essence.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. I think the new thing comes in around May.
Yeah, it's sometime in spring, I heard.
But yeah, it's a replacement where it's more curated.
Yep.
Which is, let's face it, what Steam Greenlight needed from the fucking get-go.
Yeah, fortunately, we have not played too many of the worst of Greenlight's excesses. But we have played Gabe Newell's Simulator, which got through on Greenlight, and that on its own is enough reason to close down Greenlight forever.
Oh no, that should be it. Just, yeah, why are you shutting down Greenlight? Gabe Newell's Simulator? Fair enough.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That's fair.
But news aside, what have you been doing over the last 2 weeks, Snipe?
Well, this might shock and horrify a good portion of our listeners, seeing as we've been doing this podcast coming up on a year now.
Yes, I believe when this goes up, it will be 2 days after that. The first podcast went up last year.
March the 7th last year it was, yeah.
Oh.
So, nearly a year we've been podcasting, and I remember in the first episode, without Drummer Matt, unfortunately, because we thought that we both could hold the conversation, we could fucking not. So we had to bring Drummer Matt in because, he's our token normie. I remember speaking about completing The Witcher.
Yeah.
And starting up The Witcher 2. I have finally completed The Witcher 2.
It only took you a year.
Yay! I'm so good at video games, you guys.
It's the end of an era. An era of everyone on stream going, "Hey Snipe, when are you going to finish The Witcher 2?
No, it is the dawning of a new era where everyone on stream's going, "Hey Snipe, when are you going to start The Witcher 3? It's like, no, I am super psyched for The Witcher 3, but I steamrolled Witcher 2. I just powered through the end. So I need a break. I'm just kind of like, I need to like calm down and then psych myself up for the amazing journey that will be The Witcher 3.
Yes.
So did you not enjoy 2?
I didn't enjoy it anywhere near as much as I did the first one.
Right.
But they did change a lot of things, and I'm old and change scares me.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like they revamped like the fighting system and I mean, it looked gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't know why The Witcher has always looked very nice to me. I got past because there's a big segment in the middle where you spend a lot of time in a town called Vergen, which is like a dwarf settlement, and I hated that fucking town. And this is going to sound really strange, but the town of Vergen is set up like a British town, where it makes no fucking sense, and there is no cohesion of which path goes where, and it's a fucking maze. That is a fantastic design of a town to make it feel real, but it's fuck awful map design, and it drove me nuts. It was towards the very end, because like there's a big fight at the end. Just towards the end, I finally internalized it, and then it was like, well, you're going somewhere else now, dumb shit. And I'm like, oh, fuck you. I just figured this out.
I guess part of the problem there is that because you had been playing it in spurts over the course of an entire year, is that you basically had no hope to internalize the map of that area because you were playing it in these small bursts.
I don't think I had a fucking, a snowball in hell's chance anyway, but that's just me. It's just, yeah, it reminds me of like an old British town where everything's kind of like back doors and walking around and being crazy. But no, I will say towards the end of the Vergen segment, it started to grab me, that was like 20 odd hours in, which is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was just, I mean, that's the thing, it's like, it's not bad. The game is not bad, it's just compared to The Witcher 1, it's nowhere near as good, so you know what I mean? It's like the Dark Souls 2 problem.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from a lot of people that The Witcher 2, its big problem is that its story is nowhere near as interesting as the first or third ones. So even though mechanically it's superior to the first one, and graphically it looks a lot better.
It still looks fucking gorgeous.
Oh yes, still looks great.
Beautiful looking game.
But despite that, because the story's a bit you kind of just have to push through it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And like it felt a lot more witchery towards the end. Like I say, end of Vergen segment, there was like one side quest I did, because I didn't really spend much time doing side quests, because I wanted to get the main one out of the way, because I want to get to The Witcher fucking 3.
Yeah.
It was that sack full of feathers. I think you saw the ending to that one, where there's a man near a quarry who's like, you need to get me 60 harpy feathers, which that takes a while.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a very high consistency of harpies in that area. But still, that takes a while. So I finally dragged like a sack back to him, and he's like, thank you, I need 6 more. And I'm like, oh my god, this fucking guy. Yeah, I was just like, okay, so I go get 6 more. I bring them back, and he's like, I guess these will do for the buyer I'm selling them to. And he's like, you can ask, like, mate, what are you doing with all these feathers? And he's like, I don't ask my clients why they want things, maybe you should learn it. I'm like, okay, fine. And then it's like the objective is kind of like, go see him later, which is quite a common thing in The Witcher, which is wait for events to unfold, so you kind of gotta wait a little while and then go back. I go back after forgetting about this. Mild spoilers, if I walk in and this guy's in a fucking feather suit, facing a mirror with like a fake beak on. He's like, oh yes, oh you're the queen, oh your plumage is so silky. He's just like stroking himself. And I'm stood there like, oh my god,
what have I enabled?
That's the thing, it's like, he's obviously not hurting anyone. Yeah. I mean, apart from all the monsters he had me kill, but to be fair, they were really bad monsters and very mean.
You killed a lot of people, but in your defense, they were all bad.
And they had beautiful plumage. So he's just stood there stroking himself, looking himself in the mirror, just going, you're such a pretty bird. And then Geralt's like, and the guy turns around and he's like, oh, hello. And then there's this awkward silence, and there's like, dialogue comes up, and it's like, weather's been crazy. So I was like, oh, it's been really, really warm lately, hasn't it? It's like, yes, it's very unusually warm for this time of year. It's usually a little bit colder. And then this is silence, and then and then you get a trophy for it. Trophies you can hang off your trophy belt, and each of them has like, it's basically like a stat booster.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember what his does. I think it might give you more armor. But what is it? It's his beak. So he's got like a leather like cone that's orange that you just like you with like a string around it. And I was like, it's going to be hanging off my, because on Geralt's belt, he's got like a trophy hook, which is where he puts his trophies. I was like, it's going to be hanging off there. No, he wears it. He wears it on his fucking face. It's just like, I should have gone back and done cutscenes with it. That would have been perfect. Like Geralt standing there going, yes, it's a terrible thing that's happened. King Foltest has been like with a fucking beak on. That would be amazing. I didn't think of that because I tried it on and I was like, that's stupid. I love it, and then took it off and never wore it again because it wasn't very good. But yeah, there's little moments like that where it's just silly.
So, could you recommend The Witcher 2, the game that took you a year to beat?
Not because I'm bad at games, because I'm bad at completing games.
Well, a bit of both.
Well, yeah. Don't tell anyone. That's the only reason I have a YouTube channel, is to show off how good at video games you are, even though that's something you never fucking say, and yet people still think they're fucking clever for pointing it out when you suck at something. Or whatever. Off the top of my head, you know. I don't know if I could, in all good conscience, recommend it.
Is it the sort of thing where...
For completionism's sake? Yeah, go on.
If you want to play through the Witcher series, you have to. but also don't worry about it if you don't want to.
I can't say for definite because I haven't completed the third one. I don't know how much from the second one ties into the third one. So for now, I'll just say, if for completionism, go for it. Otherwise, it's alright. I mean, like, there are a couple of really cool characters in there. Like, there's a character called Saskia. I think she's amazing. She's a really good character. Geralt, of course, is always a pleasure. But yeah, it's. I'm just looking forward to moving on to the third one now.
Yeah.
And the DLCs. Oh god, that's like a fucking 60-hour game. DLCs, like, aside.
So I can't wait till next March when we can get your thoughts of finally completing The Witcher 3.
Oh, fuck you, dude.
No, not if it's good and you're doing all the side quests. It'll be the March after that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really, honestly. But no, I did really enjoy it. Well, no, I didn't really enjoy it. What the fuck am I talking about? I think that's just kind of like, I was just zoning out and thinking about, like, the final boss and was like, I enjoyed that part. But I won't spoil things.
You've enjoyed having finished it, I guess.
I've enjoyed finishing it. I'm glad that it's done now. And I'll get to The Witcher 3, which is really streamlined, and they've probably perfected the red engine, or whatever. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's the red engine.
Watch it, you'll play it, and you'll fucking hate The Witcher 3 now.
Yeah,
If that happens, I'm just going to throw myself in front of a train. That's it. My life is fucking forfeit. There's no point in living. Sorry. Go and remarry Cora Harper. It'll be fine. She'll look vaguely like me. It's okay. I think that's about it. Now, here's a dangerous question. Wib, what have you been up to?
Well, I have been up to a couple of things, actually. I've been playing a fair bit of For Honor.
Oh, we did that for a video.
We did, yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
The Viking/samurai/knight game. It's a weird concept when you think about it, because it feels...
Oh, when you think about it.
Well, yeah. But, you know, it's bizarre, because that sort of premise of a predominantly multiplayer game, that you just have these various factions from history fighting each other, is such like an indie Steam game thing. But this has got like a full AAA budget and everything. And they didn't just do that. They came up with, like, a proper story to it. Like, it has a full campaign. Well, I say full, it's not actually very long. But it has this campaign full of, I say full, it's, how many missions are there? There's 6, so there's 18 missions that you go through for the single player. And it's nowhere near as crap as it could have been.
Okay.
But it's also nowhere near as good as it could have been either.
I really hope we get mega famous, so Ubisoft contact us for the, like, and go, could we use your quote for the front of our boxed release? Nowhere near as crap as it could have been, -with. That would be perfect.
But yeah, so I won't say, all I'll say about the multiplayer, because I haven't played much of it.
I played enough.
You played one game and that was enough.
That was too fucking much.
Is that it can be a little bit impenetrable.
That's some nice words you're using there.
Because you playing it like a week after launch, everyone that I was playing against seemed to really get the mechanics, and I'm still a little hazy on them. So yeah, and that's not helped by the fact that matchmaking is utter garbage because there's no dedicated servers. It's just, yeah, so it's just whoever's hosting. And when it does do matchmaking, I'll just give you a hypothetical here that totally didn't actually happen, except it did. So if you're joining a server and it's an 8-player server, 4 people aside, and it finds 6 people, what would you think is the sensible way to distribute the players? Bearing in mind it can fill in spare people with bots. See, there's your first mistake.
Yeah, I'm guessing from what you're saying, they didn't do that.
No, you will end up in situations where it'll have 4 players on one side and then 2 on the other side with 2 bots.
Yeah.
And that goes about as well as you'd think.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
It could have had, like, 4 players on one side, 1 player on the other side, 1 player being, like, a spectator for some reason, and 3 bots. So, I mean, like the game in general, it could have been shitter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, the core mechanics are really quite cool. I think I'm not very good at it, which is a problem, because what you do, the kind of core mechanics of it is it does control a little bit like a Souls game, as in you have stamina, and it's more about slow-paced fighting, encountering people's things. But basically there's like up, left and right that you hold with your right stick that says where you're blocking or where you can attack. And obviously if you attack a place that the enemy is blocking, because you can see where they're blocking and where they're attacking from. And it's about like countering that, you know, if they're attacking you from up top, you can go to the left to attack them, you know, that sort of thing. Kind of rock, paper, scissory type thing. It's an interesting thing, although what tends to happen with me is that my brain shuts off once I get into a fight and often forgets to use the directional thing, and I start playing Dark Souls for a while.
That was my biggest problem, like, starting it up.
And that is entirely a me problem, that's not a problem with the game. It's just I have real problem paying attention to that extra mechanic. But it is quite fun, and going through the single player where you can get away with not being particularly good at the game is interesting, because to not kind of go into too deep spoilers here, but what happens is you play through the 6 missions as a knight, well, as the knights, then 6 missions as the Vikings, then 6 missions as the samurai, and progressively you go through a story where you find out kind of there is an overarching villain to everyone, and you go through and try and fight that enemy. Now, for the most part, a lot of the maps are fairly unique. They're not just something that's used in the multiplayer, although parts of them are. So it's not just like, oh, this quest is literally just a multiplayer game but with bots. Some of them are nearly that, but they do more, like there'll be a boss at the end, or it'll be structured with a narrative to get you through it. So even when they do the minimum required for a single player, they still kind of do more than a lot of games in that position would.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm left feeling, if it wasn't so short, and it didn't have some quite dodgy moments of odd checkpointing or ludicrous difficulty out of nowhere, then I kind of like the story mode, even if it's a little short and has those flaws. But there is one thing that is absolutely amazing about it. One thing that is astounding, and everyone should know about it.
Okay.
When you are playing as the Vikings, you fight a guy called Tenzin.
Okay.
Now, you initially fight him, and he makes like 3 duplicates of himself. And you have to fight the 3 off at once, and it's actually...
He's doing the old, like, Kung Fu movie thing.
Yeah, it's actually fucking annoying, because the game engine really doesn't feel built to take on, like, that many people at once. But you can back away, and they'll back away, and you can heal up, so you can kind of just whittle them down over time. The second phase of that fight is you fight him on his own. Now, for some reason, they chose to only give him 1 line of dialogue once you get into the fight. He says, "You are a raider! Legendary!"
What?
Yeah, your character doesn't actually have a name, he's just called Raider.
Okay.
And he is a raider, it's not a clever name.
Is he legendary?
Apparently. Oh. Now, because he only has this 1 line, he says it maybe once every 5 seconds. So, even though... So the only memory I have of that fight is, "You are a raider, legendary. You are a raider, legendary. You are a raider, legendary." This is like to the point that I've been online. Like I was checking to see if that was a bug, and like he just not like his other dialogue hadn't generated properly. And all I found was several forum posts of people just saying, "You are a raider, legendary," over and over and over and over and over again.
The internet being stereotypically very useful.
Which would be usually followed up by someone repeating the phrase, "I must defeat you," because in the next phase of the fight, that's all he fucking says again.
Is it the same kind of like 5-7?
Yeah.
"I must defeat you."
Yeah.
"I must defeat you." Well, okay.
Sometimes, for extra credit, followed up by another boss in the Viking campaign, who is a female berserker called Civ, and she keeps screaming, "Raider! Raider! But it's not the same voice line. She does just, in the cutscenes, just repeatedly shout your character's name over and over again for no reason. So its writing, perhaps a little limited.
I kind of like that about it, though.
There's also a boss fight against a Viking with a bunch of wolves that should be the coolest thing in the world, but it's really fucking annoying.
Well, you've already said that, like, a boss popping ads seems like it's very contrary to the way the game engine works anyway.
Yeah, and they just kind of just harass you. And once you realise what you got to do, which is that you dodge them and then hit them afterwards,
He's gonna hit his face.
then it's easy enough, but it's just kind of annoying. I think that's the problem with a lot of the boss fights and things, is that they don't feel challenging so much as annoying and very easily cheesed. So
yeah, everything about this game points to it being.
I know, but it is. I mean, that's the biggest problem with the game. Really, is that it's really fucking expensive with a season pass.
Not much content, really, is
yeah,
there?
for not that much
But
content.
that's fucking Ubisoft all over.
Yeah.
So-
And the multi.
Oh, okay, that explains.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Now you've joined us.
So yeah, it's got a bit of a mixed reception. I think it is mixed on Steam, and I do understand that.
No, it is a lot of money for really not that much.
Yeah. I think it depends. It depends on, like, I enjoyed the campaign despite its flaws, or more accurately, I wanted to beat it, which is not something that that with the amount of games that we play for, like, the channel and stuff. Actually finishing a campaign in a game that we play for the channel is actually an exception rather than a rule. So the fact that I did that does say something good about it, because I know a lot of people really hate the single player because they feel it's really tacked on, and it's like, yeah, but if you crap at the multiplayer but you like the mechanics, it's actually quite a cool thing. And the fact that they've come up with this whole story for this stupid premise, like, I have to give credit to that.
I mean, the thing is, I just expected it to be, wouldn't it be cool if Vikings, samurai, and knights fought each other?
Yeah.
And then there's a fucking story, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, one thing that is interesting is that the setting is... I mean, it does appear to be Earth, because they explicitly state the samurais being Japanese. But for some reason, these three groups are the only ones left after this huge cataclysm that, like, wrecked the world. Okay. And they've been fighting for literally 1,000 years.
That sounds like a long ass. I don't know if I could be fucking arsed.
And there's kind of two ways you can kind of approach that to kind of have an opinion about it. Well, there's many more than that, but I'm boiling it down to two ways because it's easier for me.
That's fair.
Which is to look at it and go, well, that does neatly explain the anachronisms in it, like the Vikings having actual horned helmets, or
they're little horns.
Yeah, or
they're still
or fighting styles and weapons not being period specific, because they're not period specific. It's set 1,000 years later, and so that does neatly, like, shift away from it having to have its historical accuracy, which I think is a good idea. However, the fact it's 1,000 years does lead me to the other thought, which is, doesn't mankind tend to actually develop itself way faster when it's fighting all the time?
Yeah, wars are like, that's where we get all of our cool technology.
Yeah, so why are they at exactly the same level of tech 1,000 years later? It's not 40k. Which, yeah, that's a bit weird. I am left with an interesting thing when it comes to For Honor. I don't know if I can... I can't recommend it.
It's too expensive.
But mostly because of its price. If it was cheaper...
And the title was spelt correct.
Well,
yeah, that's another massive problem.
But if it was cheaper, and you were sort of fine with that, you were only going to get maybe 5-6 hours out of the campaign, and then... Or play about that much of multiplayer.
And that maybe it will take you 5 or 6 hours to get a multiplayer game, according to some people's reports.
But yeah, if you're okay with it, with that amount of, like, enjoyment from it, then once it comes down to the price that you're happy with that, then it'd be worth it. If you know what I mean? I know that's a very vague kind of way of putting it.
Hey, if you want it, buy it. If you don't. But also it's expensive, so maybe don't buy it just yet.
Yeah, if it was like a tenner, then I'd say, yeah, sure, go ahead.
I think a tenner would be a very reasonable price for it, considering how little, like, stuff there's there.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
I mean, maybe if they sort out some of the issues with the multiplayer. And again, the thing with the multiplayer game is, if you are super into the multiplayer, then you'll totally get your money's worth. But if you're not, like me, then it's a bit much.
Well, I mean, like, it could even very well be, like, because it uses a very similar kind of, like, multiplayer thing to Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah.
And Rainbow Six Siege is barely unrecognizable from when it was released now.
Mm.
Loads more characters, loads more stuff in there. A lot more stable and isn't shit, I've heard.
So hopefully
they'll do the same kind of thing.
Yeah, except it also has a £20 season pass, so most of that stuff we probably won't see.
Honestly, don't buy season passes, please, because it opens the doors to way more scummier, money-grabbing, half-assed, not doing good for games, but doing better for fucking production companies. Fucking, what are they called? Publishers. And, like, people like EA. That's lining their pockets. So maybe...
True that.
Maybe don't do that. Like, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do, but I'm just going to say there's a lot of fucking bullshit that people let the games industry get away with, and maybe they shouldn't. And season passes are fucking one of those things.
Also, don't pre-order.
Don't pre-order. Because it just means that they can keep fucking you over, and No Man's Sky and fucking Aliens Colonial Marines will always be a fucking thing, because people allow it.
Yeah.
And I'm not being all like caveat emptor and be like, oh, it's the fucking consumer's problem, but let's face it, we are all consumers when it comes to video games. People listen to this, I don't know why you'd be listening to this if you weren't a video gamer, or didn't know what video games were.
It would be strange.
Yeah, we're all consumers, we all have a part of this. Vote with your money, because that's the only fucking thing they care about.
Yeah.
It's not the devs, it's the fucking publishers. And that very serious note of me getting super fucking mad and serious and angry, I'm gonna shift over to you.
Okay, I have one final thing to talk about after talking about For Honor, which is a conclusion, I guess, and a follow-up to something I spoke about last time, which is I talked about the sci-fi series Lexx that I started watching. I have finished it now.
Okay. All 4 seasons, did you say there was?
4 seasons, yes. And
You've not been doing much else.
There's about 60 episodes in total. So.
Okay.
So as far as these things go, it's not the longest, but there is a fair amount there.
Are they all the hour-and-a-half episodes?
No, only the first series. It's like the rest of them are like 45 minutes.
Okay.
Just like a standard American series. So what I'm going to preface what I'm about to say, saying that in order to talk about this, I am going to have to spoil a lot about Lexx. So if you are going to watch it, or you want to watch it, because I know a couple of people mentioned that they have started watching Lexx, whether it was because of me talking about it, or they just happened to, for whatever reason, at the same time, want to watch it at the same time as me. I'm going to spoil shit, so if you don't want to hear it, you can stop now. We're not going to talk about anything else after this.
This is the point of no return.
Can I can't. What if I don't want spoilers?
Oh no, you're fucked. You're staying here, mate.
No, I'm getting to. Okay, fine.
Okay, if what you do, say if we talk for another half an hour, if what you can do for me is basically mute Skype and just kind of walk around with Skype on your phone, so you can't hear us, and just go, really? And just do that for another half an hour, and record that. Yeah. Okay? If you don't mind doing that, that'd be great.
Okay, but what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to like spoil the big ending.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil that. It'll just be some things like the end of seasons.
So last time to turn back.
Yeah.
Last chance to turn back.
So, the series Lexx is based around a small group of ragtag people who end up dicking around the universe,
being massively horny,
and blowing planets up.
Yeah.
That's not actually inaccurate in any way.
Yeah, now, the first season was mostly about setting up the universe and was 4 episodes that were an hour and a half long. The second series is, I think, 24, maybe, around that sort of number. Episodes that were 45 minutes. And they were mostly kind of a Planet of the Week, Monster of the Week, whatever you want to call it, like type of show, where for there was like an overarching thing that was happening in the background that they set up at the start, and it kind of gets resoluted at the end. And I'm going to give away some of what happens there, because you need to know the heights of ridiculousness that Series 2 gets to understand why Series 3 was kind of a disappointment. At the end of Season 2, you discover that most of the universe is not there anymore.
Not... What? Okay.
Because what's been happening is there is a guy who has these robot arms. These robot arms can replicate themselves by using other matter. They're kind of like they're like nanobots, but less nano.
Nanomachines? Micro machines.
They're not micro machines, no.
They're
like human arms, but with like a weird hover thing on top of them.
Yeah.
And
I like micro machines better.
They can use organic and inorganic matter to create multiples of them, more versions of themselves, and they've been eating whole planets and whole universe and whole like solar systems and galaxies, until you find out that most of the universe is gone, and it has been replaced nearly entirely by these arms. Okay. And at the end, Lexx goes. The crew of the Lexx go after them, and they end up pissing them off so much that so many of these arms come to the same point in the universe that the majority of the mass of the universe is centralized around one point, so causes the entire universe to collapse upon itself.
That's okay.
That doesn't get stopped.
Oh.
They just get sucked into the dark universe because there's like the light universe and the dark zone.
Like the mirror universe where everyone has goatees.
Kind of. Like the light universe, which is like 40k levels of grimdark,
Cool.
is said to be the better place.
Okay.
And that's the one that everybody in it is dead. Everybody.
Okay, so I'm just gonna quick aside here. So these arms eat everything and
Yeah.
consume everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
Because
What is the ultimate goal? Is it, oh yeah, it would be fucking like rad as hell if all my arms covered every bit of the known universe.
Just
something I think
there is
cool.
a fiercely logical reason, but that's one of the things I won't give away.
Okay, because that sounds really stupid, and I other than I think it would have been cool, character kind of motivate. I can't imagine.
No, there is a legit reason.
I'm just saying that I can't foresee. I'm just sitting there going, I just want my arms over the planet.
It is a bit of a just want to watch the world burn type thing, but
obviously, I just want the world covered in my fucking arms. Apparently,
but it makes sense. But anyway, I'm going to dwell on that.
I just can't get. Okay, over the
let's
arms.
move on. I think you're getting hung up on this very small detail.
I can't let that go.
Considering what's going to come in a moment, that's not an important detail to hang up on.
Arms everywhere.
Okay, so
they devour the universe.
So the universe.
How do they do that? Their arms.
Okay, the universe is destroyed. Okay.
Ah.
And the crew of the Lexx and the Lexx itself gets sucked into the dark universe by the singularity created by the universe eating itself, just
because
collapsing upon itself.
Because the universe was like, dude, this is stupid.
Yeah.
The fuck is wrong with you? I'm just gonna fucking collapse in upon myself, and because you're so dumb.
Okay, well, let's move on from that.
I assume all of the crew of the Lexx enjoyed being sucked into anything.
We're okay with it. So they end up on this. They end up in basically an area of space where there's nothing, and so they go into cryogenic stasis while the Lexx drifts because the Lexx is hungry because the Lexx needs to eat
There's
organic
plenty
matter.
of fucking arms, but apparently they're not good enough to eat.
Well, they're all gone. So
Well,
it couldn't eat them.
yeah, because it couldn't be bothered. And it's fucking, I wasn't hungry then.
Okay, let's move on from the arms.
Why is that a sentence you've had to say?
So
Lexx is fucking insane.
So they end up drifting for like 2,000 years.
Okay.
Because the Lexx can't travel at proper speed because it's hungry, and so the Lexx has gone to sleep as well. And they end up in the orbit of these two planets that are just like in a weird orbit where they're like so close to each other that you can actually travel between their atmospheres to get between the two of them.
Okay.
And they are called Fire and Water. They're not clever names. One of them is literally a desert planet. It's basically Arrakis from fucking Dune books.
Is that water? Because that would be funny.
No, that is fire. And there's another one that's covered entirely in water, but with floating cities called Water.
Atlantis.
Now, the entire series, that entire third season is based not around bumming around the entire universe, which the previous season had been. it was just centered around them trying to get the Lexx fed and to get away from these two planets, because the Lexx is just stuck in orbit of these two planets.
And because he's sleepy and hungry, he can't do anything. Okay.
And it's only 13 episodes long, so it's like half the length, or like the other of season 2 and 4. So it's not hugely long, but like you could remove entire episodes from it and they wouldn't matter, because what happens is they go down to one of them will go down to the planet. They'll end up in trouble where like their shuttle, the little moth things that are like living shuttles they've got that look like insects, unsurprisingly considering Lexx is a giant insect, and their moth will get stolen, and then they get stuck on the ground, and then another one, and then the other people on the Lexx have to come down to try and save them, and then they get split up, and then some shenanigans happen, and then they get back together. Are you laughing at the term of the moth gets stolen?
Just imagine like the cast of fucking Lexx is coming and go, "Oi, you! That's my fucking moth." Just floating around like a fucking light bulb. Like, it's my fucking moth now.
They do literally make a joke about the moths being attracted to light, like a moth.
Just imagine like literally someone walking into your house and just catching a moth around your light and being like, "Fuck you, this is mine," and like, you have to file a police report. Hello, police? What is your emergency? Someone stole my moth. I gotta save my moth before the arms get it. Don't let the arms get my moth, officer. They're eating everything.
I could have, in the time that you have been over-analysing the use of the word moth and the arms, I could have given you a complete rundown of the entire 4-season run.
Moths and fucking arms! What the hell are you watching? Oh my god, I'm fucking... Okay.
I'm going to move on. Keep your giggles to yourself.
I'm trying.
So, they end up just basically stuck on the planet for a variety of stupid reasons, and they get split up, have to go back to the ship, and then something stupid will happen that means they have to come back down. And this just keeps going on and on and on throughout the season. And the only interesting kind of parts is that you kind of gradually find out that no one on the planet is born. They just kind of appear. Right. They just kind of wake up one day, and that's where they are. And many of them are people that you've encountered in the previous stories, like the same actors, and they acknowledge them as being the same people. It's like they've been reborn in this other world, in the Dark Universe.
Popped into existence.
Yeah. So there's like minor characters that you've seen throughout the previous season, like pop up here and there. What you eventually find out is that fire and water is basically heaven and hell. Like, they're literally heaven and hell. That's where that people are being reborn on this once they've died, and they will keep being reborn when they die. And if you're bad, you go to fire, and if you're good, you go to water, because one's a paradise, one's a dystopia, and both of them are warring with each other.
But you can freely travel between the two.
Yeah, you
so
can.
if you're like, I'm not really a fan of hell, let's go and hang out in heaven for a while, and that's okay.
Yeah,
unless people steal your moth.
But the two factions hate each other. So they will kill each other on sight.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
So you find that out, and you're like, okay, and it does lead to some really interesting things where they like the last couple of episodes of season 3 are really good. The previous 11 are fucking dog shit. But you kind of need to have watched them to have the full understanding of what's going on.
You didn't know that when you were watching them. What got you through them?
Because I'm a masochist, and will watch, once I've got so far through a sci-fi, I will watch the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, Matt, you are talking to someone who, rage completed Duke Nukem Forever.
Yes.
And Aliens Colonial Marines.
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough.
So this is not a healthy psyche we're
No,
dealing
it's not, no. And so the interesting part there is that once you find out they are heaven and hell, and you have some very interesting character moments where characters are forced to acknowledge their own morality and how shady it's been throughout the previous episodes, which is interesting.
Yeah.
They then end up with the planet Fire getting blown up by Lexx.
What?
Followed by the planet Water. Meaning heaven and hell have been destroyed, and as far as we are aware, there is no afterlife anymore. In Lexx, they killed the afterlife. That's how bleak this series gets.
Okay, why does Lexx just wakes up, goes, fuck hell, and blows it up?
No, they blow up hell on purpose because everyone on hell is a dickhead.
Well, okay.
And then Water ends up getting blown up for other reasons.
Because one of them decides to have sex with it or something.
Probably. Oh my god, is that accurate?
No, for a second when you said it, I thought you meant Lexx, and there is actually something that alludes to that, but that's...
Somebody fucks a city-sized insect spaceship.
Not someone, a dragonfly. An
That's
Earth
so funny.
dragonfly. Because that's the big thing. You find out, as it goes into the next season, that Fire and Water are actually in our solar system. They're just the other side of the sun, so we've never seen them.
So...
Okay.
So,
Okay.
the
Yeah,
afterlife
don't-
everywhere is in our solar system.
Yeah. And our solar system is in the darkest part of the dark universe.
Well, it feels like it right now, sure.
So they then go to Earth after that. And no, don't try and think about how we would totally know if there were 2 extra planets of like Earth equivalent size in our solar system, because
bring that up.
yeah, because you can totally tell that from relativity and shit.
It's sci-fi.
Yeah, it is totally a thing we can notice. But anyway, so they go to Earth, and then they proceed to spend 24 fucking episodes on Earth.
Budget cuts.
Yeah,
Just
wow.
fucking around Earth. It is a kind of grim parody of Earth. So, you know, the president who's elected is this. Okay, how can I put this? A wholly unqualified, sex-crazed puppet.
Okay, and about Lexx.
Yeah, and that's the dark universe, not our universe.
And ends up blowing up many countries with nukes.
Okay,
Still failing to see the parody.
Yeah. So we're not going to dwell on this. So if you are angered by this, please don't bother commenting.
Yeah,
because
but-
we've got people who are really angry about things I said earlier that I can't even remember. So
You got to join the queue.
yeah, come on.
But anyway, so this thing is like a whole thing based around Earth, and it. You know how like in a lot of sci-fis they'll have a go to Earth episode. Like there was an episode of Star Trek Voyager where they went to like 1996 Los Angeles, and it's as awfully, painfully 90s as you can
Roller
think
skates and high-waisted trousers.
of. And yeah, things like City on the Edge of Forever. One of the best episodes of Star Trek is going back to like 1940s or 1930s America. Like you can do those things well. This is not done so well because it takes the show that already kind of often felt like it was an FMV game due to the music feels like 90s FMV game music, and it has a lot of really primitive CGI, and the type of humour in it is awfully kind of 90s PC game kind of vibe. Suddenly make it so the green screen is used in present day, and it really starts to feel like a cheap FMV game from the mid-90s.
Ooh.
And the problem is that they still try and maintain like some of the weird level of humour, and and it should work. Like I'm just going to tell you a couple of things that happen in the show, like a couple of premises of episodes, and you're going to think these episodes are fucking amazing and totally fun to watch. They're not, by the way. So there is an episode where a mummy is awoken in Las Vegas,
Well, I don't know where else you'd awaken a
who
mummy.
goes on a killing spree of mobsters while high off his tits on cocaine.
That sounds like... You remember when, like, the X-Files had those episodes?
Yes!
Like, there was a really amazing one where, like... It was told in kind of retrospect, where Mulder told his side of the story about, like, this town that had a vampire in
Oh
it.
yeah, that's a really good
And then
episode.
there was one where Scully was telling it from her perspective. Fantastic fucking episode, but it was a really strange, funny, silly episode.
Yeah, but a lot of Lexx Season 4 feels like a shit parody of those episodes of X-Files, there's also an episode where they find the King of the Fairies, who apparently meets with all the druids outside the Tate Modern.
Oh, well, where else are they going to go?
Yeah.
Stonehenge is so old
Oh,
hat.
yeah. So, and he is the King of the Fairies. It's not a joke. He tries to marry Stan.
Well, no accounting for taste.
I mean,
Stan's gross.
initially he tries to marry Zev, but eventually kind of marries Stan instead.
Well, I mean, Stan's a horrible person. So.
He is kind of a bad person.
He's a very bad person.
So
I think the Goblin King. I wish. I think the Fairy King can do better.
Possibly.
What about was the robot head?
790.
790. What about him?
He gets rebooted, and instead of being in love with the love slave, he is now in love with Kai, the dead man.
Oh. Okay. Well, I just hope the Fairy King realizes that he can do so much better.
790 actually slowly over the series starts to become probably one of the main antagonists, despite being a member of the crew. It's really weird.
Okay.
There's also a part where the new Pope is selected, and as a wild card, instead of selecting what you'd expect, they select a female real estate agent from somewhere in America who becomes the new Pope, who's actually a reincarnation of a cannibal from the first season of Lexx called Jiggerata.
Well, that was just unlucky, really.
So, yeah.
Cannibal Pope.
She gets eaten by a plant, by the way. The Pope is eaten by a plant. That's the thing that happens in that series. Actually, the interesting thing is the whole setup is that the Earth is doomed because it is what they call a Type 13 planet.
That sounds unlucky.
Which is a planet that is advanced to a sufficient point that they are trying to discover the Higgs to measure the Higgs boson, and when they do, they will destroy the planet. And this was made in like 2002,
well,
so it was before we did.
Didn't.
So it's like that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that is that's why we can't find any other life out there that's as advanced as ours, because if there is somewhere out there we might be able to sense it, but you can't, because basically as soon as a civilization gets to the point when they'll be able to spread out from their planet, they inevitably just annihilate themselves or something happens. So I mean, that is like close to a legitimate
that
theory.
is one of the many theories. Yeah, I do like that as being a theory. It does make a kind of strange sense. But yeah, so that's the thing. Like, because they've been doing these like big these overarching stories with fire and water, and then with surrounding Earth, and then they have these like story arcs going on in those. It keeps it really kind of like small. When the previous episodes were like, oh yeah, we're just going to go to a new system every week, and then the planets could get destroyed, and the second series literally ends with the universe being destroyed, so everything after that just feels so small time.
Yeah. Well, where do you go after that? That's
I
like
think
going
that's the
to
problem.
11.
So they tried to focus a little bit more on character moments, and sometimes those work really well. The second series actually did have a few like character things, like they had a musical episode, which is actually a really good episode.
It ain't. It won't be good as Once More with Feeling, but
yeah. Once More with Feeling from Buffy is amazing, but the big problem is that because they kind of do these slightly more serious, slightly less comedic, especially in the third season, it's way less comedic. Like the comedy and satire comes back full force in the fourth one, but the comedy is much nowhere near as good in the third series. So that means that unfortunately the actress playing Zev has to act.
Oh.
She cannot act, bless her.
Aww.
She has to do all these.
At least try.
She tried, but oh, it's bad. Oh, it's bad. The villain is a guy called Prince, though, who's sort of a weird bargain basement version of Malcolm McDowell, who, funnily enough, was in the first series. But yeah, this guy, he's a really good villain. He effectively plays the devil.
Well, as long as he's not like Silent Hill Malcolm McDowell, I don't care.
Yeah. Lexx. I did enjoy Lexx, but I can totally say to people, if you want to watch the best parts of Lexx, watch seasons 1 and 2. Don't feel you have to watch seasons 3 and 4. There are good episodes and good moments in them, but they're not worth it. Seasons 1 and 2 are vastly superior to the other two. And now I've now moved on, and now I'm watching Farscape, which I won't talk about. I'll get into that next time.
I'm wondering, where are you going to go after Farscape? Babylon 5?
I need to track down a copy of Babylon 5 because there's no streaming services where. I'm thinking of watching Blake 7, actually.
Oh, God.
Which was written by Terry Nation, who's the guy that invented the Daleks and wrote most of the original Dalek stories.
Oh, rad.
Which may explain why Blake 7 is bleak as fucking shit.
Sounds like it's right up your alley.
Yeah, you may notice a pattern in sci-fi that I like. It's often bleak as shit.
Well.
But yeah, so, yeah, that's a thing.
Can't wait for the Farscape episodes. It's going to be good. Here at the MisanthroPod, we don't talk about video games, we talk about fucking sci-fi all the time.
Hey, at least 3 people have said that they like me talking bollocks about sci-fi. And 3
of them you. And is the other one your mum?
Only... My mum doesn't listen to anything I do.
Does she even remember she has a son?
I'm not sure. Probably not.
Wow. I got awfully real there for a second. Sorry.
Yeah, you end up in that thing where you're like, I don't know, like people listening and they go, is that a joke? I don't know if that's a joke.
Now you'll never know. We gotta keep some mystery here.
Yeah, gotta keep some mystery.
Yeah.
So we should probably go then.
We should probably go. We have...
Yes.
We have sci-fis to watch and honours to for. And See, I was going somewhere, but then I just completely, after the first syllable of me starting to speak, I zoned out entirely. And
I noticed.
We've got our notes on our desktop, and I just realised I spelled officially with OFICCIALLY, and that is the most disgusting thing I think I've ever seen. I hate how Notepad doesn't have a spelling like you have spelled things wrong, you deserve death or whatever. I don't think many things do, but maybe they should.
Okay, since you're now rambling about your misspellings in notes, we should say goodbye.
Okay.
Goodbye, listener.
Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.